Hi folks, welcome back to my videos. Today I'm going to go over the seats again. I have measurements that I took. I have parts list for a few of the seats. There's several different options of seats for these cars, more than I thought there was going to be, but I think a lot of that's got to play into with cloth and leather for the parts list. So I didn't have my buddy print all of them off, but he printed off 4 different ones because I think that's going to be the best comparison that I can do. So let's get right into it. I'll put these each up on the screen for you guys so you can kind of pause and take a screenshot, and you can zoom in and see exactly what these part numbers are, and then you can compare what's different. I'll tell you right up front, what I seen was kind of some of the questions that got asked is, are the frames different? No, they're not. When I measured them, the frames measured out to be the same, and even the bolt hole to bolt hole is the same. So you should be able to take a 22 Chevy Bolt car seat and put it in a 21 or older, the older body style. They'll fit. That should be no problem. Should bolt right up. If it doesn't bolt right up, most generally what I found through the years of doing body work is because the track has shifted one way or another and it doesn't quite line up. What it does, it puts it out of square, and the holes don't look, it looks like it might be square, but the holes won't line up. So you got to make sure you got it square when you actually do those type of crossovers. I have had that happen. Typically it's on long bench seats, not on smaller seats like this, but if you come across that, make sure you got it kind of adjusted right and then see what happens. Okay, the main differences in these schematics, or I keep saying schematics, these parts list is, I was shocked to learn that you can actually get cooled seats in the car now. I had him print off 2 to compare a 22 bolt and a 21 bolt, and they are manual seats, okay? I wanted to do that on purpose because that's what a lot of them are. All the cars that I've seen, my car right now is manual. So I'm trying to compare what's in our cars now to what's out there that's available. Now, all the cars that I'm seeing are all power seats. I haven't seen any manual seats yet, so I was surprised to see that they make the 22 into a manual seat. I can kind of go through the numbers for you real quick and put these up on the screen. For the frame, it looks to me like the frame and the mounting brackets are made together. They're one piece. It's not a 2-piece system where in the past I've seen vehicles where it's a 2-piece deal. From 21 to 22, the part number is 26 on the 21, and that's the part number to indicate what it is. And then the part actual number that they would look up is 135 22074, and then that's on the 21. When you go over to the 22 model, it's a number 17 on the list, and the part number is exactly the same. It's 135 22074. So the lower part of these seats are exactly the same on the manual seats. Now when they do change over on these other 2 seats because they're power, and I believe that's why, because they actually have, one of them has the cooled seat, so it's a different different base. The brackets will be the same. It's the base that actually holds the seat, the cushion, that holds the cushion and everything into place, is where the variance is going to be. All this is going to be on screen. Okay, so then the next thing that I looked at is the cushions themselves. Okay, on my car it's a 2020, and 21s are the same. The cushion number, or the list number is 30. The part number on here is it says 426 43694. Okay, so now when we go over to the 22, it's number 24, and you can see the picture actually looks different on the diagram too. So number 24, there's two options for that cushion, and of course they're going to be different than our cushion because the seat is formed different. So it is a different piece of foam. So that verifies that they did change the foam within the cushion within these seats. I can tell you what these numbers are, but they're going to be up on the screen, so they are different numbers. Okay, so that's what I'm seeing, the big difference there on those. Pay attention because there will be a test later. No, well, I said through my studies on this, the thing that I found interesting is that they're going to offer cooled seats in the car version. I could have grabbed the ones for the EUV, the parts list for that too, but I didn't do it at this time, simply because that's not what the guy was asking me to do a video on. So I just wanted to do the cars. I didn't want to muddy the waters with it. But here's what I do believe, and I'll find this out and I'll verify it in future videos. And I've been told this by an EV tech from General Motors as fact, that he said that the seats are the same in the 22 EUV and the EV. He said they're the same seats. So once I get the other parts list for an EUV, I'll verify that, and I'll acknowledge that in another video, or I'll try to put it in the notes or something. So, all right, guys. That's the schematics part of it. Look through it, pause it, like I said, kind of look at it. And the next part of this video is going to be the measurements. I actually took pictures of my tape measure. I didn't video it because it was really awkward to do. Even measuring it was awkward to do. So I did the best that I could, and I have everything written down. So let me get to that part of the video. So hang tight. Okay, the first measurements I want to start with is going to be the bracket. I want to start from the bottom, work our way up. All my measurements are in standard. Nothing's in metric. I apologize for that. So just use a conversion, or most of you probably know what the difference is, how many metrics are in an inch. Let's see. The overall width of the track, edge to edge, is 18 3/8 inches wide. On both vehicles, they measured exactly the same. The center of bolt was 16.5 inches. They measured exactly the same. I'll put those photos of the tape measure up for you guys. I had to use two different tape measures because this is why it's taken me so long to do this video. I kept forgetting to take my tape measure with me. Luckily, I was able to borrow a tape measure from one of the guys there. His is kind of old and rusty. It's kind of hard to read some of it, but you'll get the gist of what's going on. So, here those measurements are. Okay, the next measurement that I want to put on here is going to be the thickness of the seats. This is where there's a big difference in the seats for sure. On the 21s and older, they're 3 7/8 inches thick. And that's as close as I could get to the top of the seat. And you'll see it in the pictures to kind of how it is. You may say, oh, well, it's 3.5 inches. Okay, if that's what you want, whatever you want to do. But when you see the pictures, you'll see exactly what I'm talking about. there is a seam that goes around these seats, and I did measure from the bottom of the seats up to that seam, and that seam is 3 inches on both styles of seats. Okay, now the difference is on the 22 bolts is the overall thickness. Now I already told you that the ones on the 21s and older is 3 7/8 thereabouts. The 22s are 7 3/8, so there's quite a bit more padding there, and you'll definitely see that. Now, if you look at these seats that's in the older cars, you'll see there's a plastic cover on there. Now, I didn't measure where that plastic cover was because that's not part of the cushion. I measured out in the front, just off to the left, just to the left of it, if you're looking at the seat from the front of the car. So if you want to try to duplicate these, you can. Okay, now let's talk about the overall width. The overall width of the cushion on the older cars, I'm just going to refer to them as older. It's going to be so much easier. And I'm going to say new, as the 22s are new, older is 21 and older. It's just going to be faster and easier for all of us. The overall cushion width on the older cars is 17 3/4 inches. Now I tried to measure at the widest point that I could. Now there again, like I say, the more they've been set in, they kind of lay out a little bit. Don't know if that's a factor or not. Had I realized this was going to be something to do, there was some 21s on some lots that I could have measured, but I didn't think about it at the time because I wasn't doing that. So I didn't get those. So on the new ones, they are 18 1/8 inch wide. So they're a little bit wider overall too. So that makes sense that, you know, they made the cushion wider and thicker. Okay, that's the overall width of the cushion. The length front to back is 19 inches. It's the same on both cars. I measured that as well, just so people would know full dimensions of what it is. So here's those measurements here. I'll put those up on the screen. Okay, let's talk about the lumbar portion of this. This part of it here, when I measured them on the old cars, they were 3 inches from seam to the edge of the lumbar. That's pretty wide, because compared to the new ones from the same position, and these are all at the widest point that I could find them, is 2 inches. So even though the new ones are shorter, you know, in length, overall width, the angle that they are at is more steep, so it kind of nestles you into the seat a little better. And that's probably what we're missing on when we're talking about the description of how these seats feel when you set into them. The lumbar is way better, and it kind of cradles you or nestles you into the seat. So that, even though they're shorter, it's still more comfortable, because I think the padding is actually overall thicker, you know, like that. So that's another one. Sorry, I think I forgot to add, I did measure at the back of the seat as well, the plastic, overall width of the plastic from the inside the seat to the outside the seat. And on the old cars, that measurement is 18 5/8 inches. And on the new cars, it is 19 1/4 inches. Okay, so it's a little bit wider on the new cars. But I don't think overall that's going to make any difference, because there's plenty of play, plenty of room within these cars for that extra space, because it's not that much. So I wanted to touch on that. Okay, probably the last thing I'll talk about here is the console. I told him I'd measure the console too, just because I thought that might play a factor if you're trying to replace seats from one vehicle to the next. They end up measuring out at 5 inches and 5 3/8 inches on the new and 5 1/4 on the used. And that could be exactly the same, because where I measured on the new ones, you'll see there's a cup holder, and I went over top of it. That same place on the old ones, the shifter is kind of right there, so couldn't quite get exactly that measurement right there, but it looks like overall it's going to be the same, and I think they're going to be no problem swapping seats out. So I hope this helps you guys out. It's more detailed. Sorry if this video runs long. I'm not sure how long it runs yet, because I cut and spliced this as I'm putting it together tonight. So hopefully it's the information you want. If you don't see what you want to know more, let me know. I will do the best that I can to get the videos that everybody wants. Because like I said, I'm trying to make these videos just like what I'd want to see. And when somebody asks a question, I treat it just like you and I are talking right here face to face. If I know the answer, I'm going to tell you. If I don't know the answer, I'm going to find out. So I'm working as hard as I can to make these videos good. If you like what you see, give me a thumbs up. If you want to see more, subscribe. All right, folks. See ya.